Hey everybody, it's Lexi coming at you from the Essence of Presence Studios, aka my apartment. And it's been a while since I've released a podcast episode. I'm very sorry about that, but it is genuinely because my life feels like it is on constant race mode. And so I have decided that I will try to upload different podcast episodes whenever I can. However, I'm unfortunately not going to be able to add a video component because my lifestyle right now doesn't accommodate for that. The sheer process of setting up a camera and talking into it and then editing and then all that, I don't have the time for that as a student. Let alone an ADHD student as well. So I can't ever, account for the changes that come into my life. So unfortunately, it's going to be strictly audio, but I hope that everyone is okay with that. And of course, it is strictly Spotify for now. Hopefully, we can get to, Apple Podcast or any other platform or even Audible or something like that. But for now, it will be here. So today I thought that I would be kind of surprising you guys with just a random podcast episode because I didn't announce that I was going to be doing this at all. It is currently 8:58 p.m. where I am. And I just did not plan on doing this whatsoever. I was just like, hey, what the heck? This topic has been running along in my head for a while. I just wanted to come on here and talk about autistic people and their experience with stress, but specifically in a school standpoint and what maybe we could do with that. And as you all know, if you watch my content, I have both autism and ADHD and other sorts of diagnoses as well, like CPTSD and PMDD. And I have experiences with chronic pain and certain psychosis symptoms that come along with CPTSD. So if you watch any of my content at all on my Instagram page, you will know that I'm very open about my struggles as a student. And so I thought, it might be time to come on here and have a little chat about it. So, first of all, any of you that are students listening to this right now, whether you're neurotypical or not, you will know that school is stressful. You will know that school feels like a task most of the time rather than, this great thing that you get to learn. You get to go to school and listen to your professors read off the PowerPoint slides. This is so great, it never, it's hard to romanticize the school experience, and I know a lot of people like the whole romanticizing your life, but sometimes you just can't do that. So I think anyone who is listening to this right now, whether you are neurodivergent or not, will relate to the fact that it often feels like a task rather than this fun thing. And I'm specifically also talking about university as well, because university, you get to choose your major, you get to choose a minor, even if you are interested in that. I am currently doing a BA in psychology. I'm going into my final year, and I'm doing a minor in sociology, and my aspiration is to get my PhD as a clinical psychologist. So obviously, I have a lot more school left, and here I am sitting on my couch talking to you guys about school stress. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. It's been a year. And I think most people who are neurodivergent, specifically with autism and ADHD, can relate when I say that I almost feels like burnout is just around the corner whenever you're in school. And I just want to point out the fact that I'm not a professional, so everything I say on this podcast is strictly personal. If you relate to it, great. But I am not saying any of this as like medical advice or professional advice. This is just my experiences, and if you relate to it, fantastic. And if my ideas of how to help certain situations work, great. I'm so happy about that. But don't take this as professional medical advice if you are going through something. So just wanted to point that out. But yeah, burnout just always feels like it's around the corner. I don't know if any of you guys relate to that, but I very much have a difficult time when it comes to accommodating for my needs because in school, it never feels like you have a break. It almost feels like there's one thing after the other constantly. You also always feel like, there's one assignment after the next, and it's like a never-ending cycle. And obviously I'm a bit of an overachiever, and I'm taking 6 courses this semester, so obviously great on me, but uh if it doesn't even matter how many courses you're taking, it still feels overwhelming. And I don't know about any of you guys, but I genuinely don't focus in lectures. Like, all of my classes are 3 hours long. Um, it doesn't matter how long my classes are, I genuinely can't focus. I learn more on my own time individually, looking through slides, reading the readings, all of that, than I do in lectures because my brain is focused on too many things going on at once. And it's very difficult, especially if you're going through stress or burnout and you're forcing yourself to be there. Oh my God, all you want to do is just curl up in whatever weighted blanket that you have and just hide from the rest of the world for another like 3 to 5 business days. But, you know, I love the subject that I'm learning. My special interest as an autistic girl is mental health and anything to do with psychology, specifically neurodivergence. And it's difficult kind of admitting to yourself how difficult being in this major is as an ADHD girl, because even though it's your special interest, it's like you just can't focus. There's too much going on. Stress and burnout are right around the corner, and your whole life just flips upside down, and you feel like you can't do anything, or you almost feel like you're lying to yourself that that's your special interest because you feel like you can't get up and actually do it. But then I realize, oh, well, I talk about it all the time, and that's people say that I don't shut up when it comes to this thing, and I can research it for hours and hours on end. So clearly it is my special interest, but being in school for it can feel really, I don't know, like awful. And don't get me wrong, I love it. I want to do this for a living, but it can feel very discouraging, especially if you're going through a period of stress or burnout, because it just feels like you're lying to yourself when it comes to what you like and stuff. But other than that, stress when it comes to school just makes you feel like you can't do anything else. Like the whole saying of balancing your life, balancing social needs and balancing friends and family and with your studies and even maybe like your side job or work, feels impossible for me, at least as an ADHD student. I genuinely don't feel like I can balance anything. The only thing is that I don't live with my parents. I live in an apartment. My parents live about 6 hour drive away from me, so they can come see me whenever they want. They can take a flight over and stuff, but I don't see them very often. So balancing the whole parent thing, it's hard for me because they're not here. But whenever they are here, I try not to study and stuff because I want to hang out with them. My parents are my best friends, so I'd prefer to spend time with them when they are here. But for the other people that are in my life, like my girlfriend, she is also neurodivergent. She has BPD, bipolar, and ADHD, along with other few things, and it's nice and calming to have someone who understands, at least like key portions of my brain, so I don't have to over explain it and I don't have to mask in front of her. So it's easy to kind of balance that part out. But when it comes to friends and stuff, um my I have friends who are actors, and they don't have a lot of time either. And so it's balancing anything. It's like, if they're free, then I'm just burnt out and I can't bring myself to go anywhere. And if, I have that spurt of energy and they're not free, well, too bad with that. So it's like balancing anything is very different for everybody, but for me, it's like I have this kind of like lifestyle where it's almost feels impossible to balance anything out. The only thing that feels balanced in my life is the time that I spend with my significant other. So yeah, it's just the balance just out the window. But stress can also bring so many different things, right? Like, obviously, it's very common knowledge that autism usually comes with comorbidities, so other diagnoses like EDS or fibromegalia. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. There's so many different other maybe possible disorders that you may have on top of that. And for me, I'm unsure if I have any of those. However, I do experience intense chronic pain when I'm in a stress mode when it comes to school or any other part of my life that may be stressful or that may bring me to burnout. I have such bad chronic pain that sometimes I feel like I need a cane. I can't walk properly. I'm limping. I also have an injury. I have chronic injury. It's joint irritation in my sacroiliac joint. So for those of you who don't know, it's like my hip joint. And I get these intense pains and spasms. And so if you watch my content, you'll know that I'm an ex-professional dancer, and I quit because of that injury. I had a full-blown career lined up. I've been dancing from 6 years old all the way up to my age now, 22. And I was ready and set to have that as my career, but this injury stopped me from that. And so, obviously it's a hard thing to wrap my head around, but this chronic pain that I feel, I always thought it was because of dance growing up. And now, being late diagnosed autistic and ADHD, I now know that it could be the stress that I experience from autism or maybe any other comorbidity that I feel, because all of our pain receptors are in our brain. And so if you think of it logically, autistic brains are wired differently and we're made to feel things 10 times more. And if a neurotypical person experiences stress, their muscles tense, right? And so if autistic people, and this is just a theory, if autistic people experience things at a heightened rate, maybe they also experience stress differently. I don't know. I am actually currently writing a paper on that, so stay tuned. But it's just like, it's like there's like this weird physical and emotional pain of going anywhere when you're stressed. And when you're a student, it feels impossible to go through that properly and healthily because you almost feel like you need to be doing so many things at once. And so, to kind of maybe try and give everybody, a sense of like, what do I do when this situation arises? What do I do when I'm in burnout and I'm a student and like I have to go to classes or else I'm going to fail? Like, what do you do in those situations as someone with autism or ADHD? Simply experiencing what our brains do, right? And I've been thinking a lot about that, and obviously it's common knowledge that if you mask, then obviously the stress and the burnout is going to kind of come faster because you're not accommodating for your needs, but sometimes that's not enough. You could be unmasking but still go through stress and burnout, and I think it's important to realize that people with autism and or ADHD experience life and school differently. School is part of life. And so if you are part of the neurodivergent community, the first step is acknowledging just simply that your brain is wired differently. So when you look around at all the people in your classroom and they're all focused and they're taking notes and doing all these things, actively asking questions, but you're sitting there and unsure as to how, you can't focus, and you hear the air conditioning running past your ears and you hear other people's pens on paper and you hear all the tapping noises of everyone's computers, and that sheer activity of taking notes in your class and focusing is just complete and utter crap because you can't do that. You have to remind yourself that your brain works differently. So step 1 is trying to find a way for you to be able to tolerate your lectures in a healthy way, right? Sometimes I just need to acknowledge the fact that I just won't be paying attention in the lectures, and I'm just going to need to read whatever, chapter they're discussing, or whatever, content we're discussing in class. Maybe go over some slides or any textbooks that I may have for the class and just read that, because there's some days where I genuinely, like, sitting in those lectures, I can't hear a word that the teacher is saying. And so step 1 is really learning what works for you. And I would say once you figure that out, then you figure out, okay, well, when stress does arise and when it comes, what do I do and how do I handle it? And I think my main piece of advice as someone with autism and ADHD and who is late diagnosed and still figuring it out is, okay, figure out the one thing that without fail will make you feel better. And it could be multiple things, but if you could find one thing, and that could be anything. It could be reading, it could be, I don't know, drawing, it could be stretching, could be cuddling up in a weighted blanket and taking a nap. It could be anything. And finding that one thing or few things when you're feeling stressed and just doing it any time that you feel any sort of stress coming up, that'd be great. That's a fantastic start. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm also the type of person that when I'm working on an assignment, I cannot work on that same assignment for hours on end. There's no way. And people with autism will usually hyper-focus on things. I can hyper-focus on things, 1,000%. But when it comes to any sort of school hyper-focus, it doesn't exist with me. I need to accommodate for breaks, and I need to put a lot of them in there. So, for example, I'll be writing an essay, and then maybe after 20 minutes, I'll, do some stretches and then work on my essay again. And then after another 20 minutes, I'll do some coloring, and I'll do that for as long as possible. And the thing is that obviously you can't always do what I'm about to say, but I try really hard to start my assignments a lot earlier than when they're due, because I'm accommodating for the fact that there's no way that I'll be able to complete it if I leave it to last minute, because of the fact that I need so many breaks, and I need to accommodate for the fact that maybe my brain will shut off earlier, right? So that's another thing. Maybe try at least writing the title of an essay that you have due, or at least writing the introduction of an essay, right? Introductions are always so easy to write. And just doing that, you've already started, right? Accommodating for the fact that your brain is just different is the key part of learning how to manage stress with school. Acknowledging and finding what works for you other than just unmasking, because that's too much of a general term. Unmasking, yes, fantastic. Let's unmask together. The power of unmasking. But what else can we do on our own time? So I know this was kind of like a me rambling type thing, but I just wanted to come on here and talk about it because I think, we're nearing the end of the winter semester if you are in university. And I think it's important to talk about our brain differences and how we could possibly handle it, and I don't know, give my perspective on things. And again, if you stayed here until the end, I love you so much. Thank you. And I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. And please let me know if you want more stuff like this, because I will drop random podcast episodes if this is something that people would love. But yeah, I really hope that everyone enjoyed this. Please keep in mind that I'm not a professional. I'm not a medical professional either. So everything that I said was purely my own experiences and my own, opinions on things. So I really hope that everyone has an amazing day or night or sleep. And I will talk to you guys soon. I love you all. Bye.